This is Learned It from an 80s Song. I'm your coach, Patricia Friberg.
It is Women's History Month, and we are celebrating all month long here on Learned It from an 80s Song. Let me take you back in time. There are findings of International Women's Day dating back as early as 1911, but it wasn't until 1978 in Santa Rosa, California, that we saw this celebration of women gain momentum. The Education Task Force of Sonoma County, California, held the first Women's History Week, and they selected the week of March 8th, which corresponded with International Women's Day. In 1979, the huge success of this event was discussed at the Women's History Conference chaired by historian Dr. Gerda Lerner at Sarah Lawrence College. Participants were so inspired by this event that they began to host similar events in their location. Then, in 1980, President Jimmy Carter proclaimed that the week of March 8th would be Women's History Week. Here is a quote from his presidential address in 1980. From the first settlers who came to our shores, from the first American Indian families who befriended them, men and women have worked together to build this nation. Too often, the women were unsung and sometimes their contributions went unnoticed. But the achievements, leadership, courage, strength, and love of women who built America was as vital as that of the men whose names we all know so well. As Dr. Gerda Lerner has noted, quote, "Women's history is women's right." It is an essential and indispensable heritage from which we draw pride, comfort, courage, and long-range vision, end quote. Now, Women's History Week continued annually until 1987, when it became Women's History Month. The song I chose for you today that best resonates with the story I'm going to tell you is, can I get a drum roll, please? Women's Work by Kate Bush, 1989. Now, for those of you who have not heard this song, you need to listen to it right away. In fact, I would even recommend pausing this episode, listening to the song, and then coming back, because the song is magic. It's absolutely beautiful. The message is profound. The way it's sung is palpable. You can feel what's going on in the song. Now, it was first released in 1988 from the movie She's Having a Baby. Then it was re-released on her album in November of 1989. The song actually climbed to number 25 on the UK charts. But get this, in 2005, it became the number 3 most downloaded song from the movie that it was in, called Walk Away and I Stumble. Then, in 2012, it became number 63 on the UK charts because it was covered on Britain's Got Talent. So, guys, if you haven't heard the song, listen to it. It's beautiful. I love the song. I actually can't listen to the song without getting tears in my eyes because it's just beautiful. I'm going to tell you the story first, and then I'll tell you about how the song resonates with the story that I'm going to tell you right now. I'm at the top of my game, living in Chicago, managing the largest fitness facility in the country, working at Harpo Studios, and I even had a small psychotherapy practice. Then my husband says, "Hun, I have this amazing opportunity in California, and I think we need to take it. 6 months later, we pack up and move to sunny California where I know no one, and I have to start all over again. About a year later, I get calls from fitness DVD production companies. Hooray for Hollywood! Then I get my first call back, and it sounds a little like this. Hi, Patricia. It's Adrian. We just love your work, but you're a really big girl, and I just don't know how we'll ever have backup girls for you. The next calls sound somewhat similar. And then they told me my chance was coming. Just don't go off and get pregnant. Then I get the call from the largest DVD manufacturing company in the world. Patricia, you're our girl, and we can't wait to feature you in our next abs DVD. I respond, thank you, Becky. I need to let you know that I'm 5 months pregnant. She responds, oh, well, we can't put you in front of camera. Not for an abs DVD. Well, folks, that lit a fire under me. I will produce my own prenatal DVD. I hired a production team, booked a studio, hired hair and makeup, designed the set, created the content, created the logos, box design, custom made fitness outfits, and the list goes on and on. I will film this DVD in my last trimester and call it Belly Beautiful Workout. This DVD will allow pregnant women to feel beautiful no matter their shape or size. It's my 3rd trimester screening. I can't wait to see my baby. My husband, who's a physician, is there, the doctor, and the doctor's student. I reminded them, don't tell me the sex of the baby. We want to be surprised. I hear mumbling. Do you see this shadow? They keep pressing into my abdomen over and over again. The hushed talk continues. I study their faces and search for any clue as to what is going on. My husband joins in their discussion, lying there with my giant belly and fully exposed. My heart is racing. It became hard to breathe. Okay, what's going on? I am told my baby has a rare lung defect. They tell me they don't know what the outcome will be. We just need to wait and watch for the entire last trimester. 2 times a week, the doctors check in on him. Yes, it's a boy. Apparently, this rare lung defect occurs in 99% of males. It's okay that we know the gender. I mean, at this point, I do not want any more surprises. I am 1 week away from filming the DVD that I had poured all of my time and resources into. What should I do? God, I've invested so much in this. Should I just cut my losses and cancel it? But if I choose to film it, could I be memorializing my child in the end? No. I can't give up on this. If I give up on this, I'm giving up on him. and I can't give up on my baby. Jeffrey is now 11 years old. He is healthy. He is happy. Belly Beautiful Workout, volumes 1, 2, and 3 have received many awards. I did not lose hope because losing hope means you're giving up on what and who you love. Now, this story, how it best resonates with the song is really by the lyrics. And I can feel when Kate is singing, I can just feel her dilemma. I can feel the pain. It's palpable, like I had mentioned earlier. And that's how I felt. I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. Would I lose? Would I lose Jeffrey? I didn't know at that time. So I went to so many dark places in my mind, and here's some of the lyrics from the song that you can hear the dilemma that I might have been feeling during that time. Pray God you can cope. This woman's world. I know you've got a little life in you yet. I know you've got a lot of strength left. Just those two lines represent so much. As I, felt like I needed to have hope, I needed to keep that strength. So that's how that resonates. But then also it resonates with how I felt about my baby, how I felt about Jeffrey. I wanted him, to feel that strength, and I knew he had life in him. And I just kept that hope through that last trimester and into the first 18 months of his year until he had his surgery. Then it says, I should be crying, but I just can't let it show. I should be hoping, but I can't stop thinking. And sometimes our mind gets in the way, right? We think we have catastrophic thinking. And with that, it's hard to maintain hope. So oftentimes I had to push away all of those woulda, coulda, shoulda in my head. I blame myself. During that time, I had those thoughts of self-doubt and how did I somehow cause this to happen? Did I do something wrong? And then just being able to push all of that aside and just maintain that hope. That's what the song represents. Women, that we carry children, right? They're with us forever. They're once a child, they're always attached to your heart, right? And we're always thinking of them. We want them to be safe. And what a gift it is as women that we can feel this level. And that's why I think the song resonated also, because if you listen to it, you can just feel the lyrics. You can feel the pain. You can feel the dilemma, the push, the pull, the level of depth that as women we get to feel this attachment to our children and this to life, to giving life, right? And honestly, it's an everyday practice for me. And ever since he, is okay, it was like every best case scenario after he was born. I was very, very lucky. And I realize how lucky I am that I had every best case scenario and that his surgery was successful. But I look at Jeffrey every night when he allows me to kiss him goodnight. You know how that is. He's 11 now. I look at him with gratitude. I look at him and I thank God for him. I thank God that he's in my life. And I thank God I didn't lose hope. So listen to the song, guys. And with that, I will tell you my VIA strengths assessments, as well as actually I'm going to throw in my Gallup Clifton strengths as well, and how these strengths help me get through this really challenging time. So first off, my top 5 for my Gallup Clifton strengths are individualization, achiever, positivity, and communication. ideation. So those are my top 5 for that. And then my top, I'm going to throw in, I believe 8 on this one. So, and there's a reason for that. So these are my VIA strengths assessment. My number 1 is love of learning. And then social intelligence is my number 2, leadership, humor, curiosity, perspective, kindness, and hope. Hope is number 8. So through this, I can tell you which strengths I leaned into, and definitely positivity. Positivity, it encouraged me to have an optimistic view. So with the Gallup Clifton, I use my positivity on a daily basis. I also used Achiever in this because Achiever helped me continue to push through forward with this DVD that I was so passionate about. And honestly, it was a labor of love. It is so much goes into producing a DVD, a fitness DVD, and that Achiever in me kept me going. Now, looking at the VIA strengths assessments, love of learning I used because it kept my brain active in a positive way. Like I wanted to bring the best prenatal exercises to every pregnant woman that viewed this DVD. So I researched everything about the pelvic floor you can imagine, and what are the best exercises to give women, and being able to continue to focus on this helped me continue through this challenging time. What I really used the most, I would say, is perspective as well as hope. Obviously, hope is expecting the best in the future. And humor I used as well. And humor has gotten me through so many tough times. And, just having my friends around that I could laugh with really kept me going. And my husband, of course. And then at the time, my older son, George, he also has a great sense of humor, and having that with him helped. And then perspective. Perspectives are different ways of looking at the world. And what's interesting, and I'm taking this from Dr. Nemec's book on the research on perspective, and you've heard me say this before in other episodes, but the research highlights one of them is shown to buffer against negative effects of stress and trauma. Now, we all know that how we feel can influence that of the fetus, right? And by keeping hope and positivity and my stress level down, I leaned into perspective and putting all of this in perspective, listening to the doctors and keeping that hope happening. So I could keep my stress level down for Jeffrey in utero. All right. So gratitude is one that I currently use. It's in my top as well, strengths. And I used it so much during that time to keep myself uplifted. And then most of all, after he was born, I was so grateful, like I'd mentioned. And there isn't a day that goes by that I do not remember, how lucky I am, because I know of many that have not been as lucky in these type of situations. Looking into to wrap it up, action items, guys. I have a very special action item for you, and it's going to continue into next week for part 2. This is my first part 2. And I also just want to take this time to say thank you with so much gratitude for listening to my podcast. A true story, I refuse to look at the statistics on if anybody was even listening to my podcast, because I felt like even if I could inspire one person, like even if one person listened to my podcast, I would be happy, right? And more recently, I did go in and look at what was going on with the podcast, because I did need to check it out as a responsible businesswoman. That's a hard part about being the artist and the business behind it. But I did notice that it's increasing from month to month. So the positivity that I have is that thanks to you guys listening and telling your friends about it, my viewership or listening has been going up every month. And I'm just so grateful for you to listen. I just want to take the time, since this is an episode, my episode, I just want to take the time to tell you thank you. All right, here's our action item. You guys ready for this? It is a gratitude activity. Yes. First off, why practice gratitude? Studies show it increases emotional well-being. People achieve more. People pay it forward. They're more resilient to trauma, less depressed, and better at getting along with others. It also connects us to and boosts. And so it connects us to others and it boosts pro-social behaviors. Now, here's where we're going with this. It is Women's History Week. And my mission, honestly, is to help lift other women up. How can we support one another? So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to create a ripple effect. This is what's going to happen. We're all going to write, and I'm going to do this too, a gratitude letter. And gratitude letters, have been researched and proven to boost overall happiness. There is science behind this. And in honor of Women's History Month, and the notion that kindness is contagious, because it is, we're going to create that ripple effect. I want everyone to write a letter of gratitude to a woman in their life that you are grateful for. So I want you to write a letter about somebody you are grateful for, a woman you are grateful for. Now, this isn't just a thank you note, like when you're thanking somebody for a gift, right? This is about writing a letter about being specific and reflective and expressive. Tell your recipient, what they did. What did they do? And how that impacted you. So, something else I want you to take note of. Write the letter, then call that person and read that letter aloud to them. There's also a lot of study about testimony, right? And you do it in religion, and spirituality as well. But there's a lot about testimony and calling that person and reading that letter aloud to them and letting them hear the words from you. If that makes you uncomfortable for whatever reason, certainly you could send them a copy of it. But there is also so much science behind letter writing as well, about how great it is for us to do this. And that's a lost art. I mean, I feel so lucky, that I am a child of the 80s, as you guys might imagine, at this point. And, I wrote letters and I saved my letters. I have so many letters from my friends in college and after college and, notes from friends growing up. I saved all of those things because they're important, and that's a lost art. And I think I'd love to bring letters back to us again. And, so I'm going to do this activity with you guys. I'll share it with you next week. And then next week, you will also hear other letters that women are going to be saying on the podcast and having their recipient listen to the podcast. So I'm super excited about this, guys. But do this activity. Let me know how it goes. I really like to have a little bit more of a dialogue with the listener, with you guys, and a little bit more of a dialogue with you guys. And, reach out to me, whether it be on social, Patricia Friberg, Friberg. You can find me there. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, Patricia Friberg Coaching. And you can also email me. Go to my website, www.patriciafriberg.com. I want to hear from you. I want to know how you were impacted by this. And let's just spread some love, guys. Let's lift our fellow women up. And I want you guys to have a great week. Thank you so much for listening again. And until next time.